We're going to break down the trailer for the Super Mario RPG Remake. We're going to cover some things that you might have missed, provide both context and comparison shots, and we're going to speculate on the things that we don't exactly have full context for just yet. I've seen a few channels do this already, but none of them really got everything quite right, so I think I can lend my services here as a kind of super fan of this game. But let me know if I missed something. I might. My reaction to this game coming out was raw and embarrassing. I literally couldn't formulate words or breathe.
Don't cry. Oh, this is Solace's favorite game of all time. It's beautiful!
Admittedly, I've watched this trailer in the 75 to 100 time range, and even as I talk right now, I'm trying not to cry. This represents some of the happiest times of my entire life. And I'm so thankful to these companies for making this happen again. This really is one of my biggest dreams come true. As sad as that might sound to say, and I cannot thank Nintendo and Square Enix enough. Both of my favorite games, number 1 and number 2, both got beautiful remakes announced at the exact same time between Super Mario RPG and then Star Ocean 2, the second story. This was one hell of an occasion. There's a lot of new friends here in the past couple of days. We broke 3,000 subscribers, which is crazy. But if you're new here, let me introduce myself properly. I'm Solace. This is Solace and Dread. We produce reaction videos as well as analytical content primarily focused on Square Enix, Nintendo, and Capcom publications. Okay, let's jump into the trailer. We're going to go shot by shot, and I'm going to explain as much as I can. I guess I should say this now. If you've never played the game and you're concerned about spoilers, I won't spoil the ending of the game. I will be going over some things that happen fairly late in the game, or at least the middle point. It won't be a spoiler without context, but this is your warning. So this is the opening shot that's in the original game. Now the reason that they likely used this orb, one of the biggest plot points of the game is that you're trying to restore wishes since they can no longer be granted. This orb can either represent Geno coming to grant your wish or just a wish in general. This is Nintendo, or likely the editor, being cheeky about everyone's wish for a Super Mario RPG remake. Despite what you may think, they do hear us. So this is a very high def shot of what happens in the very beginning of the game during the prologue. The reason the lighting is darker between Princess Peach and Mario busting out of the door is that it got dark as soon as you-know-who came and kidnapped Princess Peach. So this is the initial scene where Mario is shown jumping into the sky to chase after Princess Peach and Bowser. You see Bowser and Peach flying up here, and you see Mario jumping after her. There's been a lot of questions about the subtitle, Legend of the Seven Stars. A couple of things to note. The Japanese release of this game did not have a subtitle. It was just Super Mario RPG. I have a feeling that they're keeping it without the subtitle just to keep the titles consistent across localizations. Furthermore, that subtitle was actually in the font Show Card Gothic. It's actually the font that we use in our own logo. This is technically not a free font. Now, I don't think Nintendo would have had any trouble paying for this, but it's something to consider. But I genuinely believe that it's probably just to keep the titles consistent. And here's the comparison shot. Next, it cuts to a shot of Mario running through Mushroom Way. This is definitely him running through for the first time, since Toad is over here being bullied by a Goomba and has not rescued him yet. This is in the very beginning of the game. It then cuts to a shot of Mario running through the forest maze, illustrating some of the additional locations in the game. It then cuts to a shot of Mario running through Land's End with stingers and shoguns floating around. I do like that the stingers actually have a bit more color definition, and it wasn't until watching this trailer that I realized that they're a little bit different from their counterparts from the forest maze that are actually yellow. Next, it cuts to a shot of Mario swimming through the water in Kiro's sewers. Then it cuts to a shot of Mario climbing from Bean Valley towards Nimbus Land. The following shot is Mario traversing through the pipe vault on his way towards Yoster Isle. And here's the comparison shot. Now this is a big moment. This is when I kind of lost my mind, but this is where Mallow initially meets Croco and has his frog coin stolen from him, and he falls down the stairs while chasing after Croco. They seem to have added full animated cutscenes. Whether or not they'll be voiced, we don't know, but this part was extra exciting to see. This close-up of Mallow might be during a cutscene. It could also be during a special move. We'll be getting to those in just a moment. If I were to guess, I would say that Mallow is probably confronting Croco to get his coin back. Now this scene is when Geno first inhabits the doll after Mario's been knocked unconscious playing with Gaz at Rosetown. This beautiful scene takes place at Booster Tower. This is when Bowser knocks down the door to Booster Tower. Andy allows Mario and company to join the Koopa Troop. Now this scene is after you rescue Princess Peach, bring her back to the castle, and as you go to leave, she jumps out the window and tells Mario that she wants to join you on your adventure. And here's the comparison shot. Now we're getting to the nitty-gritty, the combat. So a couple of things to note in the UI. The bars at the bottom seem to be visual indicators for health. There's been a change to some of the attack functions. If you notice, Mario's shell, when he kicked it, did splash damage. In the original game, the Knock Knock shell, or any of the shells, did not affect more than one target. Now if you noticed, after Peach attacked Magic Koopa in this next scene, before his untimely demise, this gauge seemed to have jumped up by about 3%. Timed hits seem to add to this gauge. I'm theorizing that the chain adds one additional percentage for each number that you have, but I can't confirm this. Additionally, there's a box here notating that the action gauge, the defense, and magic defense are all boosted. These are likely in connection with the chain. Keeping a chain will probably provide various buffs as well as allow you to more easily fill your action gauge. And here's the comparison shot. Next, the game cuts to a shot of Croco in what appears to be the start of a boss battle between both him and Mario and Mallow. It then cuts to the fight with Shelly/Birdo in Nimbus Land as another boss fight. Next is the formidable Eurydice, another boss fight that most of the new fans will not be ready for. Next, it cuts to a scene of Eurydice using Water Blast against the party. The following scene is Smilax and Mega Smilax, presumably before the boss fight begins. After the initial boss fight shot, it shows Geno utilizing Geno Blast. Using Geno Blast seems to add 2% to the gauge in this shot. The following scene is Mac in the Mushroom Kingdom, the game's first major boss. Mac is using Flame Wall against the party. Now what's important to note here is that it lets you know that this attack cannot be blocked. This is definitely a new addition to the game. The following scene is the party fighting Great Guy and Knife Guy at the top of Booster Tower. Knife Guy is casting Blizzard. Again, this is another move that cannot be blocked. Then it cuts to a scene where you're fighting Valentina and Dodo in Nimbus Land. What's important to note here is this spell in the original game, at the end of the initial lightning strike, this is where you would press A to time it. Timed hits are a big part of the combat in Mario RPG. At this point, there seems to be an indicator above Mallow's head. It seems that the game allows you to see when the timed hits are supposed to occur. This attack added 4% to the action gauge. It seems that the jiggle physics are no longer applied when Valentina suffers a blow. This would definitely upset a 10-year-old version of myself. The following scene is Mario blocking the arrow that was headed for Geno when you first meet him and Bowyer in the forest maze. One thing to note is that Mario took off his cap here instead of holding up his peace sign like he did in the original shot. I like that they changed this up. It's going to be one of many things that'll probably be slightly altered now that they are not locked behind the limitations of the Super Nintendo and the amount of animations these characters can have. The following scene is actually in the prologue when Exor first falls into Bowser's Keep, and this is Mario being launched out of the castle back towards Mario's pad. And here's the comparison shot. Now we have a scene that we've never seen before, with Mallow and Gino doing something on some variation of Rainbow Road. Now this shot was never in the original game. I have two theories here. The first one is that this is actually a special attack with Gino, and it's followed up with a later shot of Gino jumping in the air and shooting his cannons, or B, they've added some additional story and cutscenes to the game. Right now it's impossible to tell which, but I'm definitely leaning on the former. You can see on the very last frame of this animation, Mario's head can be shown at the bottom. This further leads me to believe that this is probably some kind of special attack animation. This is probably what the action gauge leads you to be able to do, and it's probably dependent on your party composition. This is another scene that we're not entirely sure as to what this is, but this could be another special attack scene, and this would be with Peach. Or it's some kind of scene that takes place at Land's End with a new cutscene. Yet another scene that we have not seen before. Now Bowser does not have the clown car at any point in Super Mario RPG once he enters your party. This again leads me to believe that this is a special attack that's done with the entire party, and it's Bowser's special attack. We get an additional scene of Gino flying upwards and pulling out his cannons in preparation to fire them at an enemy. Once again, I do believe this is the second half of Gino's special attack, but we'll see if that is the case when the game is released. Here we have a close-up shot of Mallow getting really angry and getting ready to do some real nasty thunder attack. On the right side of the screen, you can see the bottom end of Peach's dress. Once again, there's another shot, and this time it is of Mario and Peach, and again, we don't know what exactly this is. It could be something at Land's End, since this is the only desert area, but at the very end of this, you can actually see Peach pull out a star as part of whatever this animation is. Where did that star come from? Here we have Mario using Ultra Jump on a group of Smilax in what appears to be one of the pipes below Bean Valley. Here we're inside the cave of the Midas River course, and man does this look gorgeous. The following shot is of Mario riding in the Minecart minigame with Dinah and Might in Moleville. This is the end of the course. It's worth noting that the trajectory looks different in this than it did from the original game. The following shot is Mario describing to the Toads as well as the Chancellor in Mushroom Kingdom what happened when Bowser kidnapped Princess Toadstool, or Peach. His angry Bowser impression hides his pupils. One of the big changes to this scene is that the Toad that travels with you is in the blue vest, and all of the other Toads are in the red vests. This is to help differentiate him from the others. In the original game, all of the Toads were wearing blue vests. This scene is when you finish the boss in Marrymore and you attempt to walk down the path towards Star Hill. The team stops you and tells you that you need to take Peach back to the Mushroom Kingdom. This is the part where Bowser gets angry and tells you that you need to go back. The following scene is when Mario and Mallow first arrive at Tadpole Pond, and Mario has just completed an impressive jumping flip to prove to the tadpoles that he actually is Mario. Something that happens a lot in this game. It's worth noting that with the improved graphics, the tadpoles now have mouths and eyes, as they didn't in the original game. Next, it cuts to a scene on Yoaster Isle, Mario riding Yoshi. The following scene is Mario in the curtain hiding minigame at the end of Booster Tower. The toy box contains Peach, Samus, Diskin, and F-Type from Stunt Race FX. There's also Rob behind Princess Peach, who was also there in the original, but the Princess Peach doll I don't recall being in this particular shot in the original. The following shot is when you return to the bridge access point after it's been knocked down with your full party. This final shot is when you see Mario and the gang get the purple star piece, which in the original game was on Star Hill. I have reason to believe that this is still Star Hill, but it definitely looks very different from how it did in the Super Nintendo version. It may look different in the actual game. And here's the comparison shot. This remake was my biggest gamer wish for a video game above anything else. Nothing can possibly beat this peak for me, and many of you. This was the game that made me fall in love with the Super Mario franchise as a whole, fall in love with Bowser. It's still surreal that we're getting this remake. It doesn't feel real to me. Anyway, if you like this kind of content, whether it be reactions or analytical content, please consider subscribing, and please follow us on Twitter if you're not already. I have no idea how to grow a Twitter following. we do actually have things to say over there. Please consider following us to keep up with everything that we're doing. Anyway, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon, and long live the Turtle Kingdom.